Welcome to the Infidel, podcast of the damned, the weekly companion show of the Infidel News. Join us as we discuss this week's religious accounts from an atheist perspective. From Timbuktu to Toledo, from Kathmandu to Canada, from Bangalore to Bangladesh. We deplore, you deride. And here are your hosts, Dave and Nicole.
Hello and welcome to show number 32, take 2 of the Infidel podcast of the damned. I'm your host, atheist and author, J. David Core, and with me is my co-host, the incomparable Nicole Simard. Hello, Nicole.
Yeah, hi, how are you? Actually,
Also,
it's almost as good as extraordinaire.
Oh, almost. Okay, extraordinary. I'll remember that next time. Also joining us today is YouTuber Bob Smeerfak, but not really.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
How are you?
Good. Today,
Huh?
What's that?
Very good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Today is Friday, September the 11th, 2015, and we're going to be discussing the upcoming episodes of the Infidel News, which will run beginning Monday, September 14th, 2015. Today's newsreader is Ankh Infinitus. Show notes for all of our podcasts can be found at infidelpodcast.blogspot.com. So yeah, today is September the 11th. It's National Fake Patriotism Day. And so we're all here celebrating the beginning of Oktoberfest. Me and Bob are celebrating Oktoberfest a little bit early. Nicole,
That is true.
yes, Nicole, I think, is probably drinking a soda.
Actually, my hands are free right now. I'm not drinking anything.
No beverage. He's going to get caught in mouth. Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, our guest today, Bob Smeerfak, is a YouTuber. He's been around for a number of years. He and I have known each other through YouTube for a couple of years now. He helped on one of my early YouTube videos where I got a whole bunch of YouTubers together. He was one of the participants in that and did a great job. And on his own channel, he's been away from things for a while, but he's getting back into it now. He does 3 different kinds of videos. He has 3 different series. Two of them are kind of the same series. One's Old Testament and New Testament. He's just getting started on the Old Testament. But initially, I found him through a recommendation from the Living Dinosaur when he was doing his initial series, which was your Bible on what is it?
Psychotherapy.
Psychotherapy, yes. Your Bible on, yes, and those are hilarious.
Thank you.
Yeah, tell us about those.
Oh, they're short, 4 or 5 minute treatments of Bible stories where they start off as they do in the Bible, full of blood and domination and hatred and all of this. But then they take a turn about halfway through, and usually there's some sort of an intervention. Everybody either gets their comeuppance or they have to deal with their shit in some way. And this is all told over the backdrop of animated Fisher-Price toys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Question: is it all
Yes.
in blue? Is it all in blue?
No, that's the second series.
That's
I know.
Bob's notes.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got everything right.
Yeah. The second series is just Bob's Notes. It's called, and he started with Matthew, and he's almost through the book of Matthew, and those are also quite hilarious. But the ones with the Fisher-Price toys, that, like I said earlier, that was his idea before the Lego movie.
Yes, this needs to be made clear.
Yes.
I did not rip that off.
You
Okay, I
were ripped off.
But not Lego.
Yeah, but those are really funny. Those, if you get a chance to go look through those, are you going to make any more of those, or is that series done?
Yes, no, I am. I am.
You are done?
I've got one in progress in the scripting phase for Samson.
Yeah. Samson's kind of weird because he starts off as a nice guy.
Right. True. And he's corrupted by fame.
Yeah. 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 He's like the original R. Kelly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. With probably with just as good a singing voice.
Yeah. Probably. And then so then the with Bob's notes, go ahead and explain to everybody what Bob's notes is.
Oh, Bob's notes is well, the title is a takeoff on Cliff's notes, but whereas a Cliff's notes is a summary of of a work of literature or whatever, Bob's notes is really just a full retelling of chapter by chapter of the book of Matthew, where I would say 90% of it is simply translating the story, the verses into modern slang. 10% of it are my snarky interjections and commentary. And it's in the style of a sort of a blueprint drawing with stick figures.
Right. And then the camera pans around.
Idea? Where did you get the idea of making it blue like that all over?
I don't know. I'm that's a great question. I can't answer that. I mean, I just thought I guess I thought it was going to be, because when I started off, the voiceovers were more deadpan. They were more like monotone, and I was trying to basically do this just sort of a rote, here it is, sort of nuts and bolts retelling satire, and I just felt like a blueprint kind of fit that sensibility. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
That it does.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I can bullshit something else if you want.
You can make up another lie.
Yeah.
If that lie was satisfying, we'll go with it.
Okay.
It'll do. Let's see. We'll have some other technical glitches tonight, and then we'll have you on next week again, and then you can tell us a different story.
Yes. Well, I'm having such deja vu tonight. I can't tell you.
I know, because I made him explain all of this a week ago, and we had technical problems, and so that show was in the never got put. Oh, it was video only show, so,
Yeah.
so it never got aired. Okay, so. Those are the two main things that you're doing, and now you've just recently started Bob's Notes for Genesis.
Well, I did a teaser. I did the first chapter. The first chapter, it's the creation of the world. Don't you know? But I did that 2 years ago because I knew I was going to go do Genesis after Matthew. And 2 years ago, I thought that I was going to be done with Matthew really soon, and then I found out I'm a real dork, and I've taken forever to finish the book of Matthew. But I think I'll have it done by the end of the year, and we'll go back to Genesis 2. So Genesis 1 is in the bag. It's up on YouTube. It's been up there for a long time. You can go watch it. And I'm looking forward to going back to that because I have scripts for 12 of the chapters already completely written. And I laughed myself to death writing them. So hopefully somebody will get a chuckle.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody will because they're hilarious. They're very funny. Okay. Are you going to be doing any other series? Do you have any other series ideas, or is just this with you?
Yeah, well, I did another sort of short-lived series using footage from the most interesting man in the world. It was called The Most Interesting Creationist in the World. Actually, I really liked those. I enjoyed writing those. People could check them out, but I capped it off. I finished it because I was going to run out of footage from the Dos Equis commercials eventually, and so that was about 5 episodes long. I have a couple other ideas for other series. Oh yes. Yes. Oh. That's the one I was thinking that I really want to do is called Biblewood, The Lost Sessions, which is
Okay.
going to be a supposedly found in the trash series of unusable takes from a filmed Bible study show where the host cannot get through one take without sort of remarking something about how the text itself is ridiculous, and so basically it cuts from take to take to take to take. I haven't even shot any of this yet, so I guess I'm going to have to now.
Yeah, you just committed yourself. Yeah.
And what style is that going to take?
It's just going to look like a rough cut video in a studio, maybe with a green screen that looks like a dude who is like the host of a Bible study show, just trying to film it. So you're basically seeing it happening, and you're seeing behind the scenes at the same time.
Yeah. So it'll be one of those like splice things where you'll have like splices in between and
It'll
stuff.
be spliced, like continually spliced.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah, it sounds a little bit like the people that did Waiting for Guffman, the kind of thing that they would do, like, you know.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, because I mean, Guffman, like those guys, Christopher Guest, and then of course Monty Python, and I mean, anything I might say or think of has already been done by them.
Yeah, yeah, and we all have influences. They had influences too, so
that's true.
Well, that reminds me. I saw something. You know the guy from Mystery Science Theater. You know, the big guy with the white hair. I can't remember his name.
I don't remember his name, but I know who you mean.
But he got to be on stage with one of the Monty Python guys recently, and he said that you know, it was never in his you know, his bucket, but that in his wish bucket. But if he had something like that in his wish bucket, it would be one hell of a wish bucket.
Yeah.
Cool.
Can you imagine being on stage with one of the Monty Python guys?
Yeah.
I saw one of them live on stage a year ago in New York. I saw. Do you know Handel's Messiah? You know, it's an oratorio. Yeah. There's a parody version written by Eric Idle from Monty Python called "Not the Messiah," and it's basically a spoof of a Christmas oratorio classical, you know, concert set to the story of Life of Brian. You've seen Life of Brian? Story of basically the story of Jesus, and it was hilarious. I saw it live on stage at Radio City. No, Carnegie. One of those. I don't know.
He Eric Idle also did Spam-A-Lot.
Yeah.
Which was
Which a show that I live in the New York area, and I never did see that show.
Oh, I saw it in Pittsburgh. It's
cool.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's hilarious. It's the movie, but it's the movie. I'll tell you what. even in Pittsburgh, like I'm gonna as a side here, I saw Phantom of the Opera in Toronto at the Pantages Theater.
Pantages.
Yeah, and I was so disappointed with the big chandelier reveal that everybody was always talking about. And I don't know if it was like that on Broadway, but in the Toronto theater, it was awful. It was just like, oh, what big deal? You know,
the same thing. It probably wasn't much better of a reveal on Broadway. I saw it the national tour in LA a long time ago, and it really is underwhelming.
Yeah.
It moves really slowly, you know.
Yeah, but Spam-A-Lot, the Black Knight scene, fucking amazing. It's really astonishing. I don't know how they did it.
Knights as in the knights who say knee. Which scene?
No, the Black Knight, the knight who won't let him pass.
Cutting off the arms and the legs.
Cuts off his arms and the legs. And they do it in Spam-A-Lot, and it looks so real. I don't know how they did it. I don't have no idea.
That's great. I love it when you can't tell how they did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it was amazing. And then they increased the role of the Lady of the Lake. She's like a major role in Spamalot, and
Yes.
it's an amazing role for a woman. It was
Yes.
so good.
She got
So
famous doing that, actually. The
yeah.
one on Broadway.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good show. It's a really good show. So if you ever get a chance to see that, that's a good one. But I didn't know he did. I didn't know they did a Messiah or like a version of the Messiah. So
Yes, I don't know if it's on tape anywhere. I think they've done it in London or something, but they debuted it in New York a year ago. Um, and it's a full orchestra, like 100-person chorus behind them, and then 4 soloists, one of which was Eric Idle.
mhm.
And it was just great. It's really funny, really funny.
Yeah.
And while we're off topic, did you hear about the latest person who just announced that he is a skeptic?
No, who?
John Delancey,
Oh, Q.
Q from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's cool.
Hugh. Oh yeah. Well, he's done a lot of stuff, right? He was on the soaps.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
was on. He's been on sitcoms. I think I'm thinking of the right guy. Yeah,
Yeah. I always thought he looked like Bill O'Reilly.
a younger Bill O'Reilly,
Yeah.
a younger, little less angry Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So I
That's
thought that
pretty
was
cool.
interesting.
Hmm. That's very cool. Yep. Okay. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with the news.
Okay, hold on. Here's the first one. 1 second.
The news.
According to the 4th chapter of the biblical book of Matthew, Christ went in the desert for 40 days and nights of fasting, where the devil tempted him to turn rocks into bread that he may be fed. In mid-August of this year, a self-styled messiah from Zimbabwe named Kulu Reinfirst Manyuka attempted to emulate this feat by leaving his home and subjecting himself to the same harsh elements and lack of nourishment which the Bible claims Christ endured. His goal was apparently to be the first to tie Christ's record, although a brief internet search would have informed him that in 1907, a German who taught healthful fasting named Arnold Ehret had already gone 49 consecutive days without sustenance, while in a clear enclosure under constant supervision. Still, 40 days would have been impressive. However, after only a month, a stranger walking through the desert came upon the 73-year-old Manyuka's emaciated corpse. Officially, Manyuka's death has been attributed to starvation.
73 years old is a little old to be trying that in the first place.
I agree. I mean, I think that he would be voiding his insurance plan for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Yeah. In the desert, this is incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And I have watched what do they call Naked and Afraid? Have you ever seen either of you seen Naked and Afraid?
I've seen half an episode, maybe.
Yeah.
It looked fairly interesting.
Yeah, but these people go out into the middle of the wilderness wearing no clothes, and they have like one tool each, and they have to survive. And they end up in these places a lot of times where they just can't find food, and they are like withering away, and they're only there for 21 days. So,
Yeah.
how this guy planned on surviving 40 days with no food, I mean, obviously the Bible's full of shit when it says that Jesus survived 40 days in the desert with no food. But I thought for sure when I was writing this story, I thought for sure I was going to look it up and see what the record was for surviving with no food. And I thought it was going to be something like 2 weeks. It's 49 days.
Here's the thing that I love about this. In the different versions of the article that I read, all of the language they're using and the phrasing, it has different versions of going for Jesus's record.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy was actually going for the record. And it makes me think that, then it's only because the Bible is not a historically reliable document that Jesus is not in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Right.
And so I thought there must be many other things in the Bible that would qualify if only it was sufficient evidence. So I just did a quick brainstorming, and I noticed a couple of things.
That sounds dangerous.
Yes, well, for me, yeah, I have to limit that. Oh yeah, okay, well, of course. So Jesus, longest desert sit-in without food. That goes to Jesus. I would also in Guinness Book it would be, oh yeah, largest collection of foreskins. David. But he also wins twice with that one because it's also the most number of foreskins ever paid for a wife.
Okay.
Bought his wife off of Saul for those.
He really? I never paid attention to that part. It's an
interesting facet of the story.
Yeah,
But anyway, then there's also let's see. Oh yeah, of course, most widespread ethnic cleansing that goes to Jehovah, like right off, right?
Yeah,
then later, you see the Israelites trying desperately to break that record, but they only managed to kill a few thousand people at a time. And
how about the longest time in the stomach without being digested?
Oh, yes. Obviously, Jonah is the winner. How about a couple more? Most property damage committed by a sinless man god. That's Jesus. Yeah.
I thought
think about it. Who?
Solomon.
Property damage?
Well, yeah, he tore down the temple.
But he's not a sinless man.
Oh, that's true.
Jesus never did anything wrong ever, and yet managed to wither, trees in an orchard. He also, what do we got? He drove an entire herd of swine into the ocean. That's a lot of money, and also destroyed some furniture at the temple.
At the temple, yeah. And then after he died, the curtain was rent in twain too. So do we blame that? Who do we blame for
that? Well, apparently, I mean, it wouldn't have happened unless he had done his.
That's right. That's right.
But the last thing is, and I think this is a little bit of a trick one. Who was dead the longest before being resurrected?
Lazarus or Jesus?
Well, which one is it?
Lazarus.
Exactly. He had Jesus by 24 hours. 4 days.
Yeah, but we're not even sure how long Jesus was dead. Some people are saying it's 2 days. Some.
Yeah, all we know is they found an empty tomb. He could have left that thing 10 minutes after they put him in there.
And quite possibly he was in the heavenly spa, within a few minutes, being ministered to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then the worst use of 30 pieces of silver would go to.
Sure.
Because he either didn't do anything with it or he bought property to kill himself. So.
Yes, definitely the most wasted use. Yes. Yeah, no one was there to enjoy that.
That's right. Yep. Okay. That was entertaining. Do you have more bits for us with the next stories?
Actually, no planned bits. Should we end the show now?
Yeah. Let's go out on a high note. Okay. Well, let's move on to the next story and see how that turns out.
Okay, let's see if we get any more bright ideas from some lunatic somewhere.
In 1970, French journalist Claude Vorilhon founded the religion known as the Raelian movement. The religion is now known to have over 90,000 members in more than 104 countries. The Raelian movement holds the belief that life on Earth was created by an advanced race of extraterrestrials called Elohim. Furthermore, its followers believe that between the years 2025 and 2035, the Elohim will arrive on Earth. In order for the world and for humanity as a whole to prepare for the arrival of the Elohim, the Raelian movement made a formal request to Portugal asking that the country build an embassy for the advanced extraterrestrial race. The Portuguese government has yet to offer a response to the project, that has been estimated to cost over $40 million. It was reported that the embassy will be a total area of 4,000 square meters, approximately 43,056 square feet. There would still be an expanse of lawn, swimming pool, meeting room, and accommodation aimed to the rest of the intergalactic visitors. According to the movement, the embassy will serve as a diplomatic space for the Elohim and also as a means to land their spacecraft. It has also been marketed as a way to boost the tourism of the embassy's host country amongst the members of the religion. Raelian Bishop Daniel Turcotte responded to the allegation that the group is seeking the assistance of the Portuguese government because other countries such as Canada and Brazil have turned them away by stating, "All countries of the world have received a formal request and several of them have answered us and showed interest for this project that will provide considerable economic and scientific benefits for the countries that will be selected." He further noted that governments with whom we are in contact are asking us for absolute confidentiality on any discussions we have with them. If the embassy is not yet built, it is not for the lack of interest of certain countries. Rather, it is because we still have time to select the country and because humanity is not yet ready to welcome an extraterrestrial civilization.
Okay, I've been writing for this broadcast for about 3 years now. This is the first time we've ever covered the Raelians, and I've been waiting to cover the Raelians.
Were there not enough good stories before?
There's not enough good stories. But I'll tell you what, here's the thing about the Raelians. For one, you know this new Free the Nipple movement?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this? They were Free the Nipple years ago. They've been doing this for years. They have this annual topless day that they celebrate, and their women gather and they decorate their naked breasts and they walk down the street and everything. They've been doing this for years. And
that's Girls Gone Wild in Fort Lauderdale.
no, it's the Raelians. The Raelians were doing it before Girls Gone Wild. But I really suspect that the Raelians are almost like the Satanists in that they're actually like a parody of a church. They're not like the Scientologists. I don't think they believe it. I don't think any of them believe this shit.
Oh.
They just made up this stuff. If you know the story, Claude Vellahorn was a race car driver who changed his name to Rael after he went for a ride in the French desert and met a spacecraft in a crater, and they gave him this book called The Book Which Tells the Truth.
That's a great work title anyway.
And it's been translated into all these different languages. It's actually French. The original, everything's in French originally because the French are goofballs. And but it's the most interesting religion in the world, and they play this whole thing straight faced, like they're totally serious about everything, like they're totally serious about naked breasts and the book that tells the truth and wanting to build an embassy. They play this all straight, and they're the biggest pose. They got to be the biggest pose ever.
But you don't know for sure, right?
You don't know for sure.
It would be brilliant if they were. But that's the detail I loved in the story the most is something that I don't think Ankh mentioned. In the list of the amenities at the embassy was to be a swimming pool.
Yes.
And all of this was under the understanding that this was going to be for the enjoyment of the intergalactic visitors.
Yes, the ambassadors from space.
Yes, so apparently swimming is a thing for them, as far as we know.
Probably swimming topless. So. Yeah. Do you remember Coughlin used to have the Ponage Olympics?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He always had a musical. He always had a musical thing on the Ponage Olympics, and I submitted a song about the Raelians to the tune of the Cantina song from Star Wars.
Great.
So I'll put that in the show notes, but it's really entertaining. So
I'll have to try and dig that one up somewhere.
yeah, it'll be in the show notes.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Great.
And Rael's got something about marriage as well. It's rather a free for all where anybody can go with anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the aliens?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big sex cult. It's just a sex cult. That's all.
Oh, there we go. They're all really a sex cult.
Yeah.
Like Koresh and the guys down in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sex cult, wasn't
Probably.
it?
Probably. Jonestown probably too.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Jim, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure about Applegarth because if you're going to kill everybody, if the whole plan is to die and go to a comet, that's probably not a sex cult.
Oh, yeah, Heaven's Gate. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you never know. And as I remember, they seem to be quite adept in software design too, because I think that was one of their modes of revenue,
Mm-hmm.
was that they were all techies, and that they all did IT contracting, basically.
Which is more evidence that it wasn't a sex cult. They're all tech geeks. They're not a sex cult.
Or that's proof that it was a sex cult.
Well, okay. Well, some kind of weird sex cult, though. Yeah. But yeah, the Raelians. Another thing that one of the things about them is one of the ways that they first came to prominence, because everybody had kind of forgotten who they were. They all did the blasphemy challenge. Remember the blasphemy challenge, where you would look into a camera and say that you deny the existence of the Holy Spirit.
Oh yeah, but I didn't know that was from them.
It wasn't from them, but they all did it.
Okay.
There's a couple of videos of them just all taking turns denying the existence of the Holy Spirit. Yeah. But, okay. Anyway, so that's the Raelians. What's the third?
These are different from the reptilians, right?
Yeah, Yeah, oh yeah. That's not a religious cult. That's just a conspiracy thing. Yeah, that's David Icke.
Yes.
and his crowd of lunatics, but that's a whole different kind of lunacy. That's not the kind that we deal with. That's your what's his name? That guy that has that radio show, Art Bell. That's Art Bell stuff.
Well, I did
We're
notice
into serious stuff.
Yeah.
Raelians kind of that's very they have all the hallmarks of a religion except no supernatural.
Right.
Because basically they're talking about the second coming. There's going to be these people coming to us, and we have to get ready. But it's all alien and tech based.
Yeah, which is why I say that it's not real. It's a spoof. They're posed because they basically took everything from every made up religion ever and combined it all into one thing.
Yeah.
And use it as an excuse. Like there's stuff in there that's like Scientology. There's stuff in there that's like Mormonism. It's just
the bottom line is if they can get a country to build their palace in the swimming pool and the conference room and all of that you will have to say that they were brilliant.
Yes. Yeah. If they can accomplish that, that'll be the greatest. That'll be that'll be good. That'll be good. But we'll see. Yeah.
Shall we go to story number three?
Yep.
Pakistan and India were still a single territory under British rule. A community of Hindus occupied an area known as Terry in the district of Karak. In 1919, the Hindu mystic Sri Paramhansa Maharaj died, and as was the custom, was buried within a temple he had built during his lifetime. Subsequently, the Hindu population migrated to what we now know as India, but loyal followers continued to visit the temple in the mystic's honor. In 1997, the temple was completely destroyed, and the area, rich in minerals and oil, was occupied by a Muslim cleric. But since then, there have been efforts to get the local government to restore the temple in some way. Pakistan's Supreme Court has previously ordered the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province to do just that, but instead, the province only partially restored the temple and then built a wall around the area that the temple had occupied and declared the matter resolved. Now the High Court has declared itself unsatisfied with the restoration and has recommended that a top architect be named to rebuild the temple properly and have the wall taken down as well. This may not sit well with local Muslims, particularly the cleric who still calls the region home. but the court is demanding regular progress reports on the work and shows no sign of relenting on the matter so far. In early September, the court expects to see the first efforts at a plan to accomplish the restoration.
See, this is more like kind of serious stuff that we're supposed to be going after.
Well, you wait till we're finished with it.
Yeah, wait till we're done with it. Yeah, yeah. So, the idea that they destroyed it, in the first place. I'm surprised that there. I remember when the Buddhas of Qumran were destroyed in Afghanistan. That was all before that happened. That was all over the news, and people still talk about that to this day. This is the first I've ever heard about this.
That was the Taliban, right?
That was the Taliban.
Is that when they basically rolled the tank up and then they blew up that incredibly beautiful giant statue that built into the face of the rock wall?
Yes, that's right.
Yep.
So this was kind of reminiscent of that then.
Yeah, but apparently this happened. When did this happen? I couldn't tell from the story when it was originally 97. So that's before, because that was 2000 that the Buddhas were destroyed. So this was before that, and I had never heard of this before this. So I mean, and this temple is like one of the earliest examples of Hinduism. So you would think that this would be, extremely significant, more if not more significant than the Buddhas at Qumran. You would think that, but I don't know. I'm just surprised.
Well, it looks like it's a tough situation for both because India and Pakistan were together, and then they decided bad blood. We're going to split up, and then the area that the Hindu temple was in is located within the borders of Pakistan now, right? So the Hindus all split to India, and they left their temple building there. So,
but there's still Hindus. They're like 10% of Pakistan is still Hindu.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they have to live in the closet?
Well, yeah, sort of. 10% of America is atheists, so what? Yeah.
It went up, isn't it? 15% now.
Yeah, it's going up. Yeah, I think it might be. It's somewhere around 15-16% now. Yeah, but Pakistan though. Pakistan keeps going through these phases where they are very secular, a little bit secular, not secular, a little bit secular, very secular, not secular. They keep going in these waves. And right now they're in the middle of a not very secular wave. They were really secular not too long ago, but now they're kind of reverting back towards not very secular, and pretty soon they won't be secular at all. And if they haven't done anything about this temple within the next 5 years, it probably won't matter, because I'm sure eventually the government's not going to make it.
The government itself are the ones who ordered them.
Yeah, they are.
To do their job in rebuilding it. They basically ordered them to, hey, fix this thing, rebuild it. So they threw something up, including like a wall around it, and then the government was like, guys, this isn't up to code. Okay?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
But nothing's been done after that, which is typical with construction projects, I think,
Yeah.
Are you ever involved in it?
Construction?
Yeah.
Was I ever involved in construction?
Yeah.
Actually, yes. In a tangential way. 20 years ago, or a little less than 20 years ago, before I moved to New York, I saved my nest egg money to move to New York City when I was living in California, and I did it by working for a little more than a year in the oil fields in California and Nevada. And so I worked for an oil field construction company. And it was some of the most brutal experiences I've ever had. I almost killed myself twice. Everywhere you turn, there's a guy missing a finger,
Ouch.
Yeah, those were my construction days, and they called me the college boy because I didn't really fit in. But they liked me because I came to work on time every day and with no meth in my system.
There you go. My only construction career in my history at all is that right after college, my dad was in the Carpenters, and he got me a job as a time.
The musical group.
Yeah, he was. My dad's.
He was with Karen and Richard Carpenter.
That's right. No, my dad was Richard Carpenter, didn't you? Yeah. So, but he got me a job on as a timekeeper's assistant on a construction job.
Oh wow!
Yeah, talk about easy.
Assistant?
Timekeeper's assistant. It was the easiest
What's a
job.
timekeeper do on a construction project?
Make sure that everybody turns in their time cards and gets paid.
Oh, okay. So
yeah. Guess what his assistant does? Nothing.
Whatever the guy says.
Well, yeah, I was a gopher. Okay. But I was considered timekeeper's assistant. Yeah, I was gopher. But yeah, it was.
I don't know in the U.S., but in Canada, if you work in the oil fields, if you're a young man, it's a good thing to grow a beard. Then you're taken more seriously. Is it the same
that's
thing?
True. I had long hair at the time, actually, so that was the only thing that that when they first saw me, they thought, "Oh, okay, he belongs here." But then, as soon as I started talking, I'm just this naive Midwesterner who I didn't know how to do anything. But oh boy, that saved me some good money.
Yep. There you go. So we got 2 Christian glitches today. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on in the wacky world of religion.
Okay. And beware, I couldn't decide between the two of them. Maybe you can choose for me which one is the wackiest.
Black Robe Regiment. Even the British said, had it not been for that Black Robe Regiment,
which were the preachers.
They were the preachers. Mm-hmm. They were the preachers in the colonies. Had it not been for that Black Robe Regiment, America would still be British colony. Well, what does that say about the role of the church? Mm-hmm. And then, regardless of what modern historians say, it was the church that ultimately brought about the Civil War that ended slavery. Mm-hmm. It was as the conscience of America was stimulated by the preachings and the orations within the church. Yep. And the Second Great Awakening that occurred across the Appalachian Mountains and then spread back across all the country that brought about the Civil War and ended slavery, the church. So when I hear people say, well, I just don't think the church should be involved in politics, I look at them and say, that is a code for you don't have the courage to get out and get involved. You don't have the courage to stand for what you believe in, because the church has always been a dominant factor in the politics of America, and the 56 men that signed that document were men of faith. And when they came back and wrote that Constitution, they wrote that Constitution and derived all of the principles of that Constitution out of the Bible. So when you hold up a Bible, you need to hold up the Constitution right next to it and say, this Constitution came from this Bible. Mm-hmm. And every freedom that's given in this Constitution came from the Bible. Mm-hmm. And we need to understand that. So when Christians say we shouldn't be involved in politics, you've got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. We're the government. Those Christians that wrote this document gave us a government that even one of the founding fathers said is wholly unsuitable for anything other than a religious and moral people. Yeah. They expected that we were going to live by that Constitution and keep our eyes on God.
Our founders were so concerned that they said that should we ever come to the place that we allow a court to run amok of its purpose, that we would be living under what is no less than judicial tyranny. That's why we gather today. It is far more than one clerk saying she will not issue marriage licenses. It's that every one of us will have to decide whether or not we want to keep this great republic or whether we're willing to sacrifice it and surrender it to tyranny. And I think we gather here today to say we will not surrender to the tyranny of one branch of government. I do not think that it is possible to explain America apart from the providence of Almighty God. There is no other explanation for how this country could have come into being. There's no other explanation for how this country could have been sustained. The only explanation is that God intervened. And I believe this week, once again, as Forrest Gump so wonderfully said, God showed up. And he showed up in the form of an elected Democrat named Kim Davis.
Okay, so those were the two clips. Those were two different. That's two different things, right? Because there was a theme running through there.
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
second one.
they both made my chest really tight.
Yeah.
And actually, the first one was William G. Boykin. Remember the ex-general?
Okay.
He is very prominent among the right-wing religious nuts.
Yeah, and for those listening without video, that second one was Mike Huckabee. First, let's take Boykin and Fisk his little piece of bullshit. The thing that brought about the revolution was the Enlightenment, which was by definition a movement away from religion towards science. So that's what was the impetus for the revolution. And while it's true that most of the men who signed the Constitution were Christians, the men who led the thing, the main founding fathers, the 7 or 8 men whose names we hear all the time, and a few of them who didn't sign the Constitution, like Thomas Paine, were extremely secular. Extremely, including George Washington, who was religious, but he was also very secular. Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, these were secular thinkers. They were not religious thinkers. So there's bullshit number one. Bullshit number two, the Civil War came about at the same time as the largest percentage of Americans in history calling themselves free thinkers. The percentage of Americans at the time of the Civil War that were free thinkers is bigger than now. It was a huge movement in the 1860s with Robert Ingersoll Rand and Charles Darwin and things like that. Free thinking was running rampant in America at the time. And the people who were standing up for slavery were also using the Bible. So it's just everything that guy said was just hogwash. And I'm gonna let Bob tear apart Huckabee.
Look, I was just gonna say I don't have much to add to that. Like, dude, you know your stuff. The thing that stuck out for me was early in his little speech, he said a magic phrase, and that was "regardless of what modern historians say."
Yeah.
And well, that's wrong. Because after that, I mean, he could say anything, and he did. He said, "Oh, I can't remember what he said after. There was something ridiculous."
He said, "Kim Davis is God."
Yeah, basically, he said Kim Davis is God. Yeah,
and he said that that it was the church that. Well, I guess that was the whole theme of it. The church are the ones that were the impetus for the American Revolution. But he said it so matter-of-factly. I mean, if I was I think that's the key. All you have to do, if you want to be really convincing, is if you're going to unload a tirade of bullshit, simply start, regardless of what modern historians say.
right.
In your home street.
I don't care what your facts say.
Somebody's got
Here's
to.
what I feel.
Said once, facts schmacks. You can do anything with facts.
Somebody's got to stand up to the experts.
You can prove anything with facts. Oh my God. Yeah. Those people are lunatics. Here's another thing too. When they say that the Constitution, Huckabee said this too, and so did the general, that the Bible is based on the Constitution, or the Constitution is based on the Bible, and that is just patently false because there's not a thing in the. This is a challenge that an ongoing challenge that I've had for years, other than a few blasphemy laws that have been on the books, which are no longer exist because the Supreme Court has said you can't have blasphemy laws. Name one thing in the Constitution that is unique to the Christian Bible, as far as religions go, because anything that you find in the Bible that you can say is also in the Constitution, like "do not kill," right? Is also in in the books of Manu and the Vedas and the Analects. That's not unique to Christianity. That don't kill, that predates just about every religion. That's like the first order of religion is do not kill. So yeah, do not steal. Okay, that's in the Ten Commandments. So what? It's also common sense, and it's in British common law. So does that mean British common law is based on the Bible? And
I would say so.
Yeah, it's the law. It's a law in Saudi Arabia. They cut off your hand for stealing, so they don't believe in it either. So, is that because of the Christian Bible? So.
Yeah, well, in some ways, it kind of lines up with it, because if that's what I think we were talking about this last week in the show that never aired. It was about obeying. Like God appoints the leaders. There's no leader of the land in place except that God wills it, and that you must obey the leaders of the land. And so if the Saudi government sees fit to make the punishment for stealing, the cutting off a guy's hand, and of course the irony is you make that guy unable to work for the rest of his life, basically. Mm-hmm. So that's some pretty special bullshit right there. But I think that, I mean, according to the Saudi government, it's fine. It's just the rule, And so, and if that was the rule here, like there's so many things that I would like to know. The fundamentally religious, whether here in the U.S., I wish there was a very accurate survey that listed things like, if there was a law that supported, the killing of homosexuals, would you support that law? All of these things like this.
Mm-hmm. Because it is biblical.
Yeah.
There's something I think that nobody has brought up so far with all this bullshit about the American Constitution being based on the Bible, is that there's actually some historical documents showing that the American Constitution is inspired by the Iroquois Constitution.
Right. Yeah, it's based on it's based on like 3 or 4 things. Largely, like a lot of the language comes from the Iroquois Constitution, a lot of the language, but a lot of the ideas and the jurisprudence, which isn't really in the Constitution, but it's in the follow-up. It's in all the laws that were written as a follow-up. Those are all British common law. We just took their laws and just said these are still the laws until we come up with our own. And so everything we've done since then has just been tweaking those. So it's all based on the Iroquois Constitution and British common law, and the Mayflower Compact too, a little bit too.
Oh. Something good came off the Mayflower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm going to find something from the a quote about the. Continue, and I'll butt in when I have something about the Iroquois.
We're going to vamp again.
I have free license to bullshit.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
See,
So-
I cheat. I Google stuff, etc., and then
yeah, he plays on the computer while we talk, and
exactly.
You wearing the same shirt you wore last week, Dave?
No, the one I had last week had a pocket right here, and my phone was dragging my collar down like that. So
It's the same. It's the same ensemble, though.
it's the same It's the same
You do
basic
the collared shirt over the t-shirt.
collared shirt over a t-shirt. Yes, that's my comfort.
I was wearing this shirt last week.
Were you same shirt?
I think I was.
Okay, because blue plaid, it's hard to tell. It could be.
Is it?
It looks
But
blue.
I'm shooting from a different angle. Last
Yes.
week I was on the couch.
Yeah, and you have an interesting piece of art behind you today. It's
The coffee thing.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got that. It's so cliche. On any street corner in New York, you can buy those things, and they're all like sort of vintage 50s takeoffs of different things. I think this one says, "Coffee, you can sleep when you're dead." It's like a slogan for basic things. And most of them are funnier than that one, and most of them are a lot more snarky.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever seen that style of?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not 1950s kish. It's
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the cartooning style there, that you have there, they used to do that with animation too. There used to be a lot of animation that was kind of drawn in that style, and then and the animations also took it to a more of an extreme, more of a caricature extreme than what you have there. But it's the same basic simple line style. But Disney did a lot of it. Did a lot of stuff like that back in the 50s. You'd see the housewife. Everything was always like the housewife in her apron and her June Cleaver dress with her apron, and yeah. So yeah, the 50s were a horrible time, and and then
It's true. But to some, that's the golden age of
some.
Law and Order.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of the 50s, and I'm not a big fan of the 80s. I like the 70s, and I like the 60s, and
Were you
the
alive
90s.
in the 60s, Dave?
I was born in 1962. Yeah.
Oh, I was born shortly after that. 3 or 4 years after that.
Yeah, but like when I look
You
back, I
won't
was
say
alive.
when, right?
What's that?
You won't say when, though.
No, exactly when? Of course not.
Mhm.
Crazy? I won't tell you it was 1966.
No.
Okay. And I
Yeah.
won't tell you that I was born before all of you in 1958.
58.
Yeah, 58.
Right in the middle of the awful 50s. In Canada, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
What were the 50s like in Canada? Did you guys have that housewife thing?
There's only a few thousand people living in Canada at that time, right?
Actually, the worst part about that time, the late 50s in Canada, was we had a very famous airplane manufacturer called Avro, AVRO. They're the ones who built the Lancaster.
Oh, the Lancaster, yeah. I used to
one
have
of the most famous, but one of the most. That was one of the most famous bomber from the Second World War.
Okay, cool.
And so Avro built that, and then Canada built in the 50s a fighter called the Arrow, and it was proving to be quite the plane, and we were ahead of Americans when it came to development of jet fighters. But the thing is, back in those days, people thought that airplanes were not going to be the thing of the futures, and that it was going to be mostly using
Dirigibles?
rockets, missiles. And so the Americans decided that they were going to try to convince Canada to forget about their Arrow. And that's when they convinced the government to drop the Arrow and to be part of, instead of NORAD. and so we lost an airplane. We lost a lot of scientists who were working, in airplane and jet propulsion, etc. And they all ended up going to the U.S. and working for NASA.
Look, Nicole, everybody lives within 10 miles of the U.S. border anyway because it's so freaking cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very...
In the movie Canadian Bacon, that's one of the things that they do to convince the American people that Canada is on the offensive, is they say they've amassed all of their...
Was that Bob and Doug McKenzie?
No, it was John Candy's last movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forget who directed it. I want to say John Landis, but it was somebody like that. I forget. But it was funny. It was a funny movie. But yeah, it was good.
Actually, we had a comedy over here in Canada, but it never showed in the U.S., where we were taking over the U.S. By taking over Hollywood. And then they were talking about all the leaders that we had over there for our underground plot to take over. So we had Green, who was in, just because I want to say his first name now. Lorne Green.
Oh, yeah, he was Canadian.
Lorne Green. He was Canadian, and they were talking about all the other actors and how they were plotting.
Yeah, there's a lot of Canadian actors in America, yeah.
Well, they basically succeeded in this plot, I think, because a lot of shoots take place in
Toronto.
Yes, Toronto and Vancouver also.
Yeah. Toronto stands in for Chicago and New York a lot.
Ah. I've been to Toronto several times.
I've been there a couple times. I like it. Clean. It's so clean.
Yeah.
If you go to Niagara Falls, if you just go to Niagara, you can see if you didn't know which side if you woke up on one side and somebody said, "Guess where you are?" If there's litter on the ground, you're on the American side.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I was in Singapore once, and it's not as bad as what they say. You don't get arrested for well, you might. I don't know. I didn't litter. I didn't find out. But honestly, I couldn't find a single cigarette butt on the street. It was a clean place.
And by the way, Canadian Bacon was directed by Michael Moore.
Michael Moore, that's right. Michael Moore.
Oh, really?
I should have known that. Okay. What was the other thing you were looking up? You were supposed to be looking something up while we vamped.
Yes, actually, it was the Iroquois.
Oh, yeah,
and actually, if I would suggest that anybody who wants to find out more about it should find out about the Cornell University conference of 1987. They did a lot to show that the Iroquois Confederation was behind a lot of the American Constitution. And
where
for
were
example,
the Iroquois based?
I'm sorry?
Where were they based?
Actually, all along it was on the eastern shore, like from about Montreal down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had, they had 6 or 7 nations. And it was, their rule of law was not based on strength. It was based on actually democracy. So I was looking, and I can't find it right now, some quotes from some of your fathers talking about the actual influence of the Iroquois on their constitution. And it's something that they do mention in some documents.
Right. Well, if you do happen to find that, send me the link and I'll put it in the show notes, and you can put it under the video. Bob's channel is Bob Smeerfak on YouTube, and we're going to link the beginning.
Spell that for me. Can you spell that?
Bob, B-O-B.
Okay. All right. Good.
And S-M-E-E-R-F-A-K.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah. So that's not his. That's not his real name, by the way. His real
No.
name is something completely different, entirely. And I've always wanted to ask where that name came from, but I'm afraid that the answer is going to be, well, it's the letters of my name rearranged. And you
No, no. It's actually, it's a short, very, like underwhelming, unclimactic story. But it was a name that I invented in a conversation with somebody I was working with 20 years ago, and I was bullshitting them. I was making up some story about someone who did some great feat of something or other, so I named this really fantastic thing that happened, and somebody did it, and the other person asked me, "Oh, really? Who?" I said someone did it, and she said, "Really? Name one person." And I said, "Bob Smeerfak." So that's a true story.
My son's actually, that almost reminds me of my son's imaginary friend. He was called Bob Barlack, and and the thing is, his Bob Barlack, he decided as he got older that he would give Bob Barlack some more real things. So for example, yeah, and for example, his email is Bob Barlack. And he's got. So that's my little.
They used to do a sketch
story
on Saturday Night Live. I can't remember the name of the character, but they had a sketch on Saturday Night Live where they would all these guys with fake teeth and suits, like they were all supposed to be like businessmen that were all getting drunk in a bar, and then they were all telling these like Paul Bunyan kind of stories about this guy that they worked with. Do you remember those? They're Oh, those were funny, and I can't remember the guy's name, but and finally at the very last time that Will Ferrell was on the show, I think it was, they were doing that sketch, and he came into the bar. The guy came into the bar, and what they did was they had the camera on a dolly, came in, and it was looking down on them because the guy was like 20 feet tall. So it was like from his point of view, it was hilarious. But anyway. Yeah, so that's that kind of story. It's like you tell a story. I had a guy, a similar thing about a guy named Joe Sacco. I had a character, Joe Sacco, that I would tell people that. But I stole the idea from MASH. MASH did a thing one time where they had a doctor that they kept telling Hot Lips and Frank Burns about this doctor that wasn't there.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, and they made up a file for him, and Radar hid it in the cabinet so they'd find this file. And he went to like the Mayo, Johns Hopkins and the Mayo Clinic, and something Polytechnic. He went to some Russian school or something like that. Okay, but anyhow, all right. So that's going to wrap us up today, I think. Anybody else got anything? Nicole, do you have anything that you want to let us know about that you're doing?
No, not right now. But actually, just a word of warning: there's going to be another story coming from Africa in the coming weeks about another wannabe. How can I say? Miraculous man. Yeah, he decided to be buried.
Yeah, I remember. I wrote that one. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. To be buried. He was going to be buried and be resurrected so that he could perform miracles.
Oh my God!
And it didn't work so well for him. It's the Darwin's. It's the Darwin Award in action. It's like Darwin's law. I did want to mention that they announced the Reason Rally is going to be in June. Yeah, in June of next year, and
June 4th.
June 4th, and I'm going to try to go, and Nicole, I'm sure, is going to go. And I think Mr. Smeerfak needs to get his ass there too.
It's just in DC, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds great. I'll do if you're going to be there, I'll make an effort.
Okay.
For you.
Awesome. For us guys, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be at the Lincoln Memorial this year for some reason. I don't know why they're doing it at the Lincoln, but that's okay. I mean, the Lincoln's nice, but I liked it where it was.
But we
Where
can
was-
have a big gathering.
Yeah, I think they're expecting a smaller gathering this year, maybe, but I'm hoping it's not smaller. I'm hoping
No,
it's
but
bigger.
a whole bunch of friends together and have a party.
Yeah, we'll just all get together and yeah. Okay. All right. So, that's everything then, right?
Yep.
Are we good? Okay, my screen went black. Okay. That's all for today. Please make sure that you subscribe to the Atheism TV channel. There you can watch the Infidel News for the Damned, where our talented team of writers and anchors present these and other stories not normally covered in the media. In the coming week, the Infidel will rerun today's stories and many more fascinating ones. You'll find Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv. The Infidel Podcast of the Damned is a Nicole SD production. Nicole and I would like to recognize and say thank you to Truth Search, who did the voiceover used in our intro and gave us permission to use music from his song, Lied To, as our opening theme. We'd also like to thank Bob Smeerfak, but not really, for participating in today's podcast. I just like saying that.
That's him, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Nicole's channel is Nicole SD and can be found at youtube.com/NICOLSD. I'm Gamut Man on YouTube, at Gamut Man on Twitter, and my blog and information on my books, including my nonfiction title, Believe It, You Know an Atheist, as well as my mystery novels featuring the atheist detective Lupa Schwartz, can be accessed at tinyurl.com/Lupa Landing. While there, you can sign up to receive my newsletter. Signing up also entitles you to choose one free ebook title from my collection of 99-cent novellas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.